Hey guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. This evening I'm going to be doing a review of a film that I reviewed a long time ago on the House of Horror, which is a collaboration channel that I review for them every Friday. So I watched this film recently, and I thought I'm going to be sharing a review on it on my personal channel. So for those of you who haven't seen that review on the House of Horror, this is going to be your first time. But even those of you who have seen it on the House of Horror, my views have changed on it a little bit. So hopefully it still provides something of further interest. So this is a movie from South Korea. It is a horror slash drama, released in the year 2010, directed by Chul Soo Yang, and this movie is called Bedeviled. And the story to Bedeviled is as follows. Beautiful Hai Won needs to get away from it all and finds herself drawn to Mu Island, a place where she once spent an idyllic childhood holiday. On arrival, she is reunited with her old friend Bok Nam. Hye-won soon discovers that the beautiful island paradise hides a dark and more grotesque society. The hapless Bok Nam is ritually abused by the island's population. When an attempt to escape ends in tragic results, Bok Nam decides to take things into her own hands. With nothing left to lose, Bok Nam begins a reign of gruesome, blood-drenched revenge. So the movie has the main character of Han Won. She's a very unlikable character. She works in this real estate sort of business, and straight away you get a strong sense that she's very selfish and very self-indulgent. So the viewer is automatically just taking a real disliking to this character. She feels so self-centered that you feel that not many people like this woman. So she is getting all the stresses from work. She's not getting along with people, so she finds that she needs a holiday. And what she decides to do for her holiday is go to Mu Island. Now, Mu Island is where she once spent a holiday with her grandmother, and this island still has the population that knew her back then. And her old friend, Bok Nam, is still living there, and she now has a young daughter and a husband. So Hai Won, she gets to this island and she's introduced to the population, and this is where she realizes that there is a more grotesque society behind this, because Bok Nam is being ritually abused by everyone. If she's not being mentally abused, verbally abused by the inhabitants, she's being sexually abused and physically abused. So she's being beaten, she's being raped, and people are just treating her really, really badly. So Bok Nam comes to Hai Won with the proposition of escaping with each other. So basically Bok Nam to accompany Hai Won back to Seoul. And this is going to anger her husband, so she has to do it in secret. So one thing leads to another, and there is a tragic event that occurs, and I'm not going to tell you what happens, but it basically leaves Bok Nam numb. She's numb due to the pain and the shock, and this is what transforms her from an innocent person into a savage, psychopath looking for revenge. So what happens at that point on? Hai Won basically sees the transformation, and now her life is in danger as well as the population. So what happens from that point on? That's something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now, my thoughts on the film. When it comes to South Korean cinema, you guys all know about how well they're made, and this movie is no different. It is a beautifully shot film, but underneath the beauty, it hides a really grotesque story, and the story is about bullying and standing up to bullying. Now, Hai Won is this self-centered person. She's very confident, and it's all about her. And then you've got Bok Nam, who's her best friend, basically from childhood, and she's the complete opposite. She's very, very timid, and Hai Won can see all of this bullying happening around her, but because she's so selfish, she doesn't do anything about it. And when things spiral out of control, it's too late to reverse it. So the movie really does, the overall point of the film is bullying and, the courage to stand up to bullies. You know the old saying, good men, it's not to do, the greatest crime that a good man can do is not do anything. Basically, that's something how it goes. Can't really remember it, but that's the basic line of it. Is good people doing nothing. That is the greatest crime, and this is what the film has. Hai Won sees all these atrocities happening, but she doesn't do anything because she doesn't have the courage, and she's so self-centered that she just leaves things to go, and then by the time she realizes what's happened, it's all too late. So I thought that was a very relevant message to today's society. A lot of bullying going around, but a lot of people tend to just turn a blind eye to it, turn the other cheek, and just worry about themselves. So that message really does strike home, and that's what makes it such a powerful film. Bok Num is the most sympathetic character you can come across in a film. The way that she's treated, you just get so much anger building up in you, and you want to see Bok Num get what she deserves. And what she deserves is to go away with her child and get a better life where she's better treated. But you feel that things are going to go really, really badly, and they do. And that is just the most heartbreaking thing about the film. And that is what shocked me, because it's such a powerful journey. And it is a movie about, good people being pushed to the absolute limits and becoming monsters because of what society has made them. So that was a really, really good aspect of the film, and that's why I really, really liked it. Now, it is a very violent film, very, very brutal. South Korean films are fairly brutal, but this one is a step above. I actually would say this is the most brutal South Korean film that I've actually seen. It's not excessive, but when it does hit you, it hits you very hard, and it really is a symbolization of how Bok Num has changed as a person. To start with, she's very timid, but what she does towards the end of the film is completely opposite. And as I said, it shows you the mental torture that Bok Num has gone through, and you can really understand it. And while you don't condone what she's doing, you kind of feel good about what she actually does and the outcome that these population actually have. So that's something that is a little bit guilty. It makes the viewer feel guilty, but it's the ordeal that Bok Num goes through that really does, it is gut-wrenching, and I thought, that hit me a lot harder than I was expecting. The pacing of the film is very good. It doesn't take too long to really get into it, and I thought the acting was fantastic. Cinematography captures a very beautiful side of South Korea, a very remote area, and it's no surprise that a South Korean film is done with a lot of talent and with a lot of energy and respect, because that's a trademark of South Korean cinema. They really respect their audience, and this movie's no different. Unfortunately, with all of those good aspects of the film, the worst part of the movie for me, and what brings it down a little bit, is that it was exaggerated. It was kind of like black and white. Bok Num was the innocent one, and the rest of them were exaggerated so much that you get so much anger towards the population, so that when the bad things start happening, it's not as horrifying as it probably should have been, because you want Bok Num to mutilate these people beyond recognition. Therefore, when the scary things happen, it's just not that scary. I thought, the characters, apart from Bok Num and Hai Won, Hai Won was very unlikable, but she was different from the population. But the population were exaggerated to the point where it felt like they had no humane quality at all. It felt like they were just evil, plain evil, and they had no good about them. And so I thought the characters were a little bit exaggerated to that point, and at the end, I'm not going to give anything away, but it leaves you with a very strange feeling, and it's not necessarily a good feeling, because you just feel, as I said, that the population were just painted in such a light where it was all evil and no good. So they didn't really feel like human, they felt like monsters, and that's what the director wanted, but I thought that it would have been a lot better if they were just a little bit more likable. Therefore, when the bad things start happening, you could sympathise for their position as well, and therefore it would have made it a lot more horrifying. But having said that, the director has gone for that other approach, and you're probably barracking for what this Bok Num is doing, and what she's doing is really barbaric, evil things. And for an audience to really like that kind of thing, it means that the other population, yes, they are bad, they have done bad things, but it just felt like they weren't human, if that makes sense. So that was my biggest criticism of the film. I just thought the characters were exaggerated to the point where you felt like it wasn't very realistic, and the things that happening were, they were barbaric, but had no good in it. So that was my biggest criticism of the film. Apart from that, I really liked it. I thought this is one of the better South Korean films, definitely the most brutal, and it's one that I would still recommend very, very highly. So overall, I'm going to give it 4 stars. Not as good as I Saw the Devil and those sorts of films, but it's still a very, very memorable experience. So I am definitely saying go out there and check this one out. So for the Korean film Bedeviled, it is getting 4 stars. Alright guys, that's my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later.